Hello, everybody. This is me, Virginia, and I'm your host in this series that is called The Creative Process and also in the Fashion Photography Podcast. This is a part of the Fashion Photography Podcast, but it's not the whole thing. So if you want to see the whole thing, or maybe I should be more clear, if you want to listen to the whole thing, more than 340 episodes are waiting for you on photographypodcast.net. There, we have gathered conversations with different photographers, stylists, makeup artists from all around the world, and they're all top artists. And here, we're talking about particular images of different photographers and what they did and how it happened. So, as I said, my name is Virginia Y. I'm a fashion and advertising photographer, and I'm the host of the Fashion Photography Podcast. And this little division that we did for you guys, it's alive. So please be active in the comments, because right now you've got the option to ask all of the questions that you want to ask. So I can see the very first comment. Hello. Oh, you guys are so cool. Good morning. Good morning. Tell me, guys, where are you? Because for Milaki, I can see that it's morning, but here for me, it's 7:30 in the evening. Hello, George. Hello, everybody. Tell me, guys, where are you based? And in the meantime, I'm going to finally give you the chance to meet our guest today. Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Do you want to tell us something about you, starting with your name? Because, you know, that's the tradition in the Fashion Photography Podcast.
Yes, so my name is Saskia Lawson and I am a fashion photographer.
And you're based?
I'm based in England.
Awesome. So actually, we've got already recorded episode along with Saskia. It's on photographypodcast.net and you can listen to it. It's also linked here in the show notes. Is it called the show notes? When you're on YouTube, what do you guys think?
I think so.
Okay, Saskia, both yes. What do you guys vote? Should I say show notes? Tell me in the comments. Okay, Saskia, so we've got a very particular topic for today. We're going to talk about your Vogue editorial, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the topics, to be honest. There are some other things that we're going to discuss today, guys. So stick around. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And now is the moment to share this video so that every photography friend that you have can also join us and ask questions. Because you know what's the best thing about being live and asking questions? The fact that some other people might come up with a question that you are not coming up at the moment, but you might ask yourself a little later. So the more people we have gathered, the better. So share this video and subscribe to the channel, of course. And Saskia, let's talk about your Vogue editorial. How did it happen?
So with this one, I think a lot of people would think, oh, this was kind of, you know, as a photographer, this is my concept and everything. This was actually a concept I was given by an art director, and he came to me and said,
"You,
yeah, an art director, someone I knew, had the concept and said, what do you think of this? Like, should we shoot it?" And I was like, yeah, that's definitely something I could do. The shoot was kind of, it was quirky, it was outside, and although I don't shoot outside a lot, because it was kind of fun and playful and quirky, I was like, yes, I can definitely do this one. So the art director and I, we're quite good friends. We had lots of conversations and we just over time planned it, and yeah.
Okay, so let's just clear it up for the people. So usually being contacted by a magazine, this means that if this is your very first contact with them, you're probably going to complete a concept that they have given to you. This is also my experience. Like, I don't have a shoot for Vogue. I must throw that here. But however, I do have editorials for Bazaar, for Elle, and so on. And I've always been contacted by them instead of the other way around. So it's also my experience having a particular idea coming from them and for you to execute it. So it was also the case. Mm-hmm.
So this was out of Vogue Italia. This was another guy. He's English. He's a friend of mine. He does art directing and styling, and he said, we've got this concept, and once we'd kind of finalized it a bit more and kind of put the mood board together, I think that is when we then went to Vogue Italia and said, does this interest you? And they said, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's a little bit of a different concept. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guy came to you, he gave the idea, and then you both went to Vogue Italia. So tell me, when you were first talking about the idea, were you discussing where particularly you're gonna submit this editorial to?
Yeah, I think as we do with most shoots, when we're kind of discussing them, there's always an idea, like the top magazine you want to get that into, and you always go for it, but 90% of the time you don't get that. And then that was kind of the idea, because it was kind of creative and very much their style. We kind of thought, let's try that, and it was successful. So Craig, the guy that kind of directed it, he was speaking to them, and I remember exactly where I was. He texted me when I was in a taxi going to a shoot, and he was like, okay, they said they want to do it. And I was like, okay, now we actually have to do it. And there was that like added pressure of they'd actually accepted the concept. So
Okay, so let's talk chronologically. What happened? So we understood that the guy have contacted you, that you decided to shoot for Vogue. So you submitted what kind of idea? Did you send them like a mood board or something like this?
Yeah, so the mood board, the one I sent you, we sent that to them. And I think what they also required was a list of brands that you would be pulling from. So as the stylist, Craig gave them a list of names that he'd be using, and they just signed it off.
So that's the mood board that you guys.
This is the mood board. Yeah, this was the initial one that they were sent. It actually, we didn't have another mood board, but we had a big Pinterest board where we just chucked in loads more ideas, because obviously this was the very first seed, and then we kind of, it branched off from that. Once it was accepted, it was kind of like, okay, now we need to actually finalize the details, which took a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. I understand. So you sent the editorial, they said yes. But I know that many people, from those people that are looking at us right now, are wondering where on earth, let's say, did you get the contact for Vogue? So let's talk about this. And in the meantime, you can share with us what Vogue exactly was that. You said it's not Vogue Italia?
It was Vogue Italia.
Oh,
so
it was.
It was for Vogue Italia. It was an online exclusive story. To be honest, the contact wasn't mine, so I can't say this was me kind of in contact. So this was very much an art director planned a shoot, and I came in as a photographer, and we kind of planned it together. But the initial contact was not from me for this one.
I think that's also nice to talk about, because it's not something that many photographers know. And sometimes people feel like, people in the industry, especially photographers, they feel like they have to deliver everything. They have to deliver the idea, the final result, the contacts, and simply everything. And it's not really the case. And you're the perfect example for this. Actually, sometimes you should just trust your team.
Yeah, honestly, this shoot, more than anything I've ever done, is the most perfect example of teamwork. I honestly, what happened after we planned this was just, you couldn't write it. But we, a lot of people think as a photographer, you kind of, it's your idea, you get the contact, you plan everything. This didn't start with me. This started with someone else with their concept, and we then kind of worked along and made the shoot.
And I think not many people know, but by the way, I'm just leaving here for you the Instagram of the podcast and also the Instagram of Saskia. So, you guys, if you want to, you can follow us. And also, of course, ask away in the comment section, because right now we are talking about this Vogue editorial. But however, you've got the chance to ask us both the questions that you have about the industry. And I think this is a unique opportunity. So definitely grab it and ask away everything that you have. So Saskia, what I wanted to say is that I think it's gorgeous what have happened to you, but I don't know if the people out there know actually what's the biggest thing about having an editorial for Vogue. The thing is that you're all these kinds of magazines, they do have lists of photographers and contributors to their magazine, which means that if tomorrow, let's say, they need a person in UK and they have you in this list, you're most likely one of the people that they'll call. So I think this is the most amazing part, and this is a great opportunity, because sometimes people, and mostly photographers, but also everybody in the team, they're starting with a submission. However, if their work is consistent enough and good enough, they will end up with a commission.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell
Sorry,
me.
keep on.
No, don't worry. It's a conversation. So I don't. Yeah. What I wanted to say is more of a question, actually. What did you do after the publication? Did anything changed for you? Did you try to submit something else afterwards?
For Vogue Italia, no. No, not for them. It was weird actually after, because although I love the shoot so much, and it's such a important and special one, it isn't something that I've ever shot anything like again. It's not something that I think it sticks out quite a lot in my portfolio, but in a good way. And I did have a lot of like good things come from it, but I've never shot anything similar. I've never shot anything for Vogue Italia again.
Give us an example of one of the good things that came your way after this.
It's hard to remember. I mean, this is over 2 years ago now. It came out 2 years ago this month. So, I don't know. Maybe just I can't think of anything specific, but just maybe contacts. You know, it's quite I guess it's quite a memorable shoot, so people would see it and then follow you. And I don't know. It's really hard to remember what it was like back then, although it was only 2 years ago.
You can actually see the images on your screen right now, the images from this particular editorial. And to be honest, if this was like a session between us, because that we do mentoring sessions in the podcast one-on-one. So if it was a mentoring session right after the publication of the editorial, I would definitely be like, you should do something for them again and try to submit again and try at least several times to make sure that you have caught their eye, you know?
Yeah, I think I don't really know, obviously, because it wasn't my contact. It wasn't like I could just follow up and be like, hey, do you want to do something else? It was very much like a big thing that hasn't kind of been repeated since. That sounds bad, but it was, do you know what I mean?
Bad. I don't think it's bad. What I've always loved in you is that you're kind of shy.
I am, and I'm very honest about it as well.
You're kind of shy, and you're always very respectful of everybody else's personal space, and I love this. I used to be like that too, but the thing is, this is really not useful in the industry. So you've got to be more pushy. You've got to try and be like, hey guys, I've done an editorial for you before. How about doing another one? Or at least you can again contact the same art director and just suggest.
He's someone I work with a lot. He's someone that, you know, he's a friend of mine. But it just, I don't know. I mean, a lot's happened since then. I haven't I had a bit of a break where I didn't do that much editorial after that, and I kind of have waves in my work where I get a lot of client stuff and editorial dies down, and it goes the other way. So since then, it's been kind of really focusing on client stuff and also starting to do still life as well. So that's kind of been bubbling away, and I haven't really done any kind of big editorials for a while, actually.
I think it's very cool that you're sharing this, because in my personal opinion, it's like that in everybody else's photography life.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this peak of a lot of clients and being constantly working, and then everything.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is it the same for you? Tell us in the comments. And do you have like a constant supply of clients, or do you constantly try and do editorial each and every month? I am trying to do an editorial each and every month, or at least like a personal project, not that much an editorial, because I am not really submitting to magazines anymore. But I try to do my personal work at least once a month. Now with the quarantine, if you guys are listening a little bit later, it's a quarantine right now. So obviously we're not doing that, because that's normal. But there is a comment, a question from the audience. So Malaki says, I did have one submission in Russia. That was my first. Woohoo! But I would love to know, how did you get an art director to your team? So you already said that it was a friend of yours. I'm going to change a little bit the question, because I think you answered before me asking you. So the question, I would change it just a tiny bit, because photographers, we do tend to be a little bit of well, we are overpowering. We're usually taking the control of everything. So how was this experience for you to work with an art director? Because usually that's the person telling you what to do.
I mean, firstly, he's someone I know very well. He's someone I've worked with a lot. So it wasn't like I was kind of being bossed around the day. It was very much like a collaboration. And also we had a set designer who kind of, obviously the sets are such a big part of the shoot. She kind of had like her own vision for it as well. So it was more of like a merging of like everyone's ideas. But sorry, ask me again. What were you asking? How did it feel working
with an art director?
Yeah. I actually quite like it. I think if it's someone you know well, you can kind of, like I said, work together, and it isn't too overpowering. And for some shoots, you kind of want to do your own thing if you have a very clear vision. But when this wasn't my original concept, I was quite happy for someone to say, this is how I want it to look. And then I went and shot it how I saw it, with that added in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's great relief when there is someone telling you like, this is good. Not what we were looking for.
It's very, like, everyone on the team are friends. Like the shoot itself, I mean, anyone that was on that shoot, it's quite a memorable one, because for me personally, I had a bit of a personal situation happen 3 days before the shoot, and I was a complete mess, to the point where everyone was meant to get ready for the shoot at my house, because we shot it about 5 minutes from where my parents live, and I couldn't have anyone to my house. I was an absolute mess. And the makeup artist, Lauren, she kind of was like, don't worry, I'm going to sort everything. She sorted catering. She let everyone get ready at the house. Like, honestly, it was everyone it was like the best team ever. It was really, really good. So on the day, it was kind of, it's not like being bossed around. It's just like someone saying, okay, she's going to wear this. She's going to be where do you think she should sit? What props should we have? What's set? And then I just added in my own little bits, like the location, the animals. I was very adamant I wanted animals in it, because I love animals. So yeah, that's my goldfish.
Awesome. And have you ever worked in a situation where you're with an art director and you don't know them?
Yes, a very long time ago. That was quite a difficult one because they were amazing, but the concept changed on the day. So I was kind of told it's going to be this, and then it was not that.
Something
But we
different.
made it work. We made it work. It was more of like a test shoot, so I can kind of adapt.
I have also worked with art directors on different occasions, several times for a magazine, and most of the time it's when we're shooting advertising. So my experience would be similar to yours, but I think it's very important to mention for the people out there who haven't done it yet, but they're about to, or they're waiting for this. I think it's very important for you to know that though you've got an art director, you also have a lot of responsibility because
100%.
yeah, right, the end result is coming from you. So it has to be it has to look good, it has to be quality, like it has to carry certain quality,
Yeah.
but you should stick to your guns. It should be you, regardless that someone else is giving the art direction. So I think it's very important, especially with what's happening in the world right now, with the riot thing and everything else. I think it's very important to know that you should be respectful, and you should seek respect from everybody in the team too. So regardless of the positions in your team, you should always, in my personal opinion, look for unity and just making sure that everybody is on the place, like thinking about what's going on right now and just doing what they're supposed to be doing. But there should be a conversation. So if you're not really up for something that the art director is saying, don't just go and have an argument with them, but also don't go in the corner and being silent about that. I think it's very important to know that. So we've got more comments and questions. I love that one. Thank you, Mo, for asking, where do you usually get your inspiration from?
I always get this kind of question. It always kind of throws me because honestly, I've wanted to be a fashion photographer since I was 16. Anyone that knows me knows. And I don't really know. I really love things that are quite quirky, things that are colourful. I have a really big imagination, but then sometimes my work comes out a bit more simple and a bit commercial. I don't know.
It's not bad.
I mean, I read so many magazines. My studio is like, I have to do a purge every year. It's so bad. I just read so many magazines, like not to sound like stupid, but I've been so interested in it for so long. I could just look at someone's picture and know exactly who's done that. And yeah, I don't know. That's such a hard question.
So you're obsessed with it. We can definitely say that you're a cool person. So obviously you're getting inspired from magazines and other people's work, but you're obviously carrying it in your heart. So that's nice.
Yeah. This one, the shoot for Vogue Italia out of office, was meant to be quite funny. Like I love animals. I love stuff that's like just a bit weird and like has a sense of humor to it. Like there's some funny things. There's certain shoots I try and put funny things into them. So we did a shoot last year, and one of the sheep in our pictures, because I shot with sheep, obviously, he's got a number 22 tattooed, sprayed onto him, and I've got a number 22 tattooed on my foot. So I was very adamant I wanted that picture with the 22 in, because I wanted it all to kind of like tie in together and just be, it's neat.
So a little bit of humor in your images.
Yeah, a little bit. And even though people won't know, obviously, like for me, it's quite funny that he's got a 22 on him.
And let's go back to the Vogue shoot. Milaki have a question for you. Did the magazine give you a budget, or did you guys have your own to work with?
They did have a budget, but the budget, as as most usually happens, went all into the shoot. So the props cost quite a lot of money. And yeah, it went, you know, we had to feed people, train fare for the model, because obviously I didn't shoot in London. The budget was gone basically. But yeah, we did have a small budget.
Mhm. I think this is very important part, and I am very grateful for this question, because sometimes when people don't have experience, they don't really know what to ask for and what they can expect. So having a clarity like this is so nice.
Yeah, I've personally never been, I hate to say it, I never had any sort of income from an editorial. Every bit of money that we get given has been put back into either studio costs or props or food, anything.
Yeah, most of the time there is no like real profit when you're being put for a magazine, but usually the ideas are very nice, and that's why many photographers are saying yes anyways. And also many people would say the exposure is really good. I don't think that the exposure is that good anymore, because now you can sometimes, like, if we are talking about like a magazine that is a local L or a local or something like that, and if you're in a small country, sometimes they're not even that active on their social media, so it can. Yeah, right. The photographers might have more followers than the magazine.
Oh, completely. I mean, not for me, because I don't have any followers at all. But no, with like exposure and stuff, I kind of hate that. I hate that whole phrase, like people saying, "Oh, you get really good exposure." And it's probably a couple of years ago, a friend of mine and me were having a conversation. We were like, everyone can see everything on Instagram. You don't need that exposure anymore. Like when I was younger, I would force any magazine to take a shoot just because I was like, it needs to have that name attached to it of, oh, I've shot for this person. But I just don't think it matters anymore.
We actually had a personal conversation like this, right?
We did. I think I had a meltdown probably about, I don't know when it was, but I did. No, it was
about
it was the sheep shoot. It was the sheep with the 22 on him. That was the shoot.
No. Guys, what do you think about the exposure thing? Tell us in the comments. What's your opinion? I also think that this exposure with the magazines, it's just a little funny right now. However, for some magazines, I think it's nice to be just put in this list that we talked about before. Being in the list, it's nice because, as I said earlier, sometimes with magazines, there are some awesome shoots and awesome ideas being able to just come to life thanks to the magazine, because, well, it's different when you or I, when we call to, let's say, a big venue, and we're like, well, we're photographers, we've got this awesome idea, I've got the following. Like, I've never said that before, to be honest, but like, what else am I supposed to say? Like, it's obvious I can provide you with images, but most people will say no. And if a magazine calls and they're like, hey, can we use your huge venue for one of our photo shoots? We're going to mention you in the magazine. Somehow people are still freaking out about it. And they're like, well, I definitely want to be in this magazine. And in this, I think this is where magazines can win with this.
Like, I love magazines. I'm the biggest like fan of magazines. I love them, and I always have. But I used to be obsessed with being in like any form of magazine, and I didn't think my work was justified unless it had that name to go alongside it. And I think now it is important, because obviously, like, for me to have that name that I can say I've shot for them, that is quite a good thing, and that's something I always wanted to achieve. But it, it depends on the magazine. It depends what you think you'll get from it. There's no point doing it for like if you're not that fast. Yeah, no, not for exposure.
As Malaki said, I think it can help you with getting other jobs. I also
Yeah.
think the same thing, but I'm not very sure. You know what? I'm not very sure if the magazine name is helping you to get other jobs, or it's just the fact that you have released something new and more potential clients are seeing it. Like whether we
Mm,
talk about seeing it from the magazine or from your own social media. However, you're producing something that people can see and therefore they can call you. But you can never know whether, unless you ask, of course, but you cannot know whether they have seen the work in the magazine or from your Instagram, let's say.
yeah. Yeah.
Kim, what would be your dream shoot? Hello, Kim. So nice to have you here. So, what would
Um,
be your dream shoot?
oh, something in a studio,
Ooh,
something nice and yeah,
what
and I prefer shooting in studios. Um, something with animals, something kind of like the Luffy CLO shoot I did, the colorful one, just like a
Ooh,
bit like with
we're
some
just about
animals,
to know it.
or something in Africa with
Now
animals
I'm gonna
again.
do this. Can you see the map in my brain right now? Okay, I did it. Sorry, interrupt you. Like
It's
if there
okay.
is not a meme after that, I don't know.
um, yeah, I mean, I love
Studio and colors.
studio animals, colors. Yeah.
Okay, so in this photo shoot of yours, we're missing, I think, only the colors. But let's see what's not showing up. Hmm. Tell us about your Luffy CLO shoot. Was it something that you decided to do?
Mm, this one I can take credit for. This one had a very specific reason that I wanted to shoot it. Basically, um, I got to the point where I had time and I had some money to put into an editorial, and I had a gap in my portfolio that I really needed to fill, which was kind of something that had a little commercialness to it that could be taken by a more commercial magazine, but then was still high fashion, was still a little bit of me, like a bit of colorful. Um, yeah, just a lot. It was so much fun. I just wanted something that was me all over, and that's what I think this shoot is. I love it.
I also
I
love
still
it.
love it. I still love it now. Even like a year later, usually I go off shoots, but I still love this one.
Okay, so tell us, what did you do? Did you approach your own team? Did you work with someone you've never worked before? What happened?
Yeah, I did actually. I did work with a couple of new people.
No idea,
I
guys, but no, seriously, I have no idea.
oh no, I a couple of people I work with a lot. Like a lot of people have become like quite like close friends, so we quite like to work together. So a couple of people on the team were like regular people, and then I had some new people, which I went to agencies to get just to kind of I use this like the shoot for a few reasons to kind of contact agencies and be like, oh, I'm shooting this for Official. Do you have anyone available? And kind of get my name out there a little bit. So this shoot was very much like a passion project, but also trying to like kill a few birds with the same stone, like contacting people. Just yeah,
That's really nice. Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
Okay, so you came up with the idea, and here is the mood board.
Again, it's a very simple mood board, but you can kind of see elements in there that I've kind of used, I guess. The main thing I wanted it to be kind of pastely. I wanted it to be very soft, very like pretty, and but be fun as well. And I knew I wanted to have multiple different backdrops. I didn't want everything to look identical.
Just give me a moment. Okay, sorry
That's
about
okay.
my
That's
mistake.
okay.
Okay, so tell us what happened afterwards. Did you approach Luffy CLO?
Yeah, I actually approached them before the shoot and said, I've got this concept, I've got this model I really want to shoot, this is my team. And they actually replied and said, along the lines of, we don't take, what do you call commissions, we take submissions. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to take that as a,
just to explain to the people, so not taking commissions means that they're not paying for your editorial, but they're taking submissions, which means that you can submit your editorial and they can accept it or reject it. However, they are not going to pay for it.
No. So I got the impression that, you know, the editor was like, yeah, I like that, but I'm not going to say 100%. So I went away and I shot it with them in mind, and then I sent it to them and she was like, yeah. So,
awesome. Great. Okay, that's good. At least you know that you're having a publication right after. Did you have to wait a lot for the publication?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we shot this in June last year and it came out in July.
Yeah, so
pretty quick.
I think that's very important to say for the people who have never had photo shoots for a magazine. For magazines, this is definitely not a long time, because sometimes you've got to wait for like 3 or 6 months even. For me, 6 months is a lot of time. Like, how do you do that? It's a fashion magazine. In 6 months, this type of fashion is just gone.
I know. And you wait so long as well. It's just, that one did actually feel really quick. I remember I didn't even know it was out, and someone said, oh, I've just seen your shoot. And I was like, oh, it's come out. I didn't even know.
Nice. What's better than that? Okay, people are asking, Christian. Hi, Christian. Nice to see you in the comments. So I'm going to ask your question in just a little bit, because we're going to see also still life photography, still some still life projects over here. But I'm going to wait for your question to pop it out there. And Malaki has another question. Do you have any tips on someone that is trying to get started as a fashion photographer? And I think you already gave us a lot on this topic, but is there something else that you want to add?
I would actually say, when you're starting, it sounds really stupid and really simple, but get a part-time job, because you're going to need money and you're going to need time to shoot, but you're also going to need that money to put into it. So I wouldn't have been able to fund a lot of my stuff if I didn't work at the same time. I mean, I started when I was 18, so I've been doing this quite a long time, and I didn't go full-time self-employed with photography until I was 22. So I had a part-time job kind of helping me along, and that was a really big thing. I think at the start it can be quite exhausting, putting all your effort into something that you don't often get a lot back from. So to kind of have that break as well was really important for me. And then when I was shooting, I would do a test shoot every single week. But with my test shoots, I wouldn't do them simple. I would put everything into them as if I was doing an editorial as best I could. Like I would get clothes from ASOS and Topshop and stuff, and then hurry back and return them in the afternoon, which is really, really bad. I would do hair and makeup. I would make it look as extra as I could. So I was kind of building up like that portfolio as I was going. Kind of, I hate that phrase, but like, fake it till you make it. Like, that is literally what I did. So, yeah.
So you hated, but it worked in your case. And I think it's very nice of you to share. It's actually the opposite advice that I would give. I would definitely be completely dedicated and just shoot every day. So every day. I think it's important to also say that this is like a very, very expensive hobby.
100%.
For the people who have never had the chance to actually work on an actual editorial or a personal project, that like the ones that you've done already, can you share with us why is it so expensive? what is it that you're paying every time to shoot an editorial?
So with my editorials now, I would either hire a studio in London or I'd be on location somewhere. Location has its own issues because you have to work out how to get people there. You have to do catering. That's something completely different that I don't really deal with that often. With studios are very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. A lot of the studios in London, you don't have lighting included. So personally, for me, I always go for a studio that does have lighting because I don't want that added stress on the day if stuff doesn't turn up and stuff like that. So studios are expensive, lighting, feeding people, it does add up. It is expensive. And obviously your camera stuff as well. Like sometimes I didn't used to have a lot of the lenses I wanted to shoot with, so I would hire them for each shoot. And yeah, it cost me a lot of money. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys usually have catering on your shoots? This is a question for the audience. You can tell us in the comments. And I would definitely say that renting is an option, but sometimes it can be very stressful, especially if you're not sure and if your deadline is very close. Let's say you decided to, like on Wednesday, that you're going to shoot on Friday, and it turns out that you cannot reach the renting place, or for some reason they don't have what you need. So it can be very stressful with the renting. It's true. But it's also a great option, especially if you're in a big city. And I think like an option for the people that don't have that much money, or they just don't want to give them up, is to try and shoot outside. You are right. However, shooting on location has its own issues. Do you have any examples for us? Like,
I mean, for the Vogue Italia shoot, so I planned every detail as best as I could with that shoot. I mean, it's a good thing I did because, like I said, on the day of the shoot, I was mentally just an absolute mess. I had one of my worst nightmares come true just before the shoot, and it was kind of on the day. I just went there and I was like, I've got to get it done. And as much as I planned, things still went wrong. Basically, I didn't actually think the props were going to be as big. I don't know how I didn't think that, but we had to get them through a very little fence to get into this field, which friends of my parents owned. We didn't just gate crash the field. But my dad actually had to get pliers and remove some of the fencing and pull it back so we could lift everything into there. And obviously everything's so heavy. Like it was so difficult getting stuff in and out of the shoot. Getting the goldfish there, that was a challenge as well. We had to put him in a bucket, and just transporting a goldfish shouldn't be as difficult as it is. But yeah, things like that. Just, I think when you're traveling as well, like this field was only 5 minutes from my parents' house where everything was, and yeah, just constant moving, like so many people to take care of and make sure they're warm enough. And yeah, it was a lot of work.
Team. By the way, you should try to transport a parrot in a huge cage, and then we can talk again.
Yeah.
That's what I tried the other day. It was hilarious. Yeah, people on the street were laughing, but we're not here for that. And we already know how exactly it is to shoot on location, or also how difficult it can be to book a studio. So is it the same with product? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So is it the same? Is it hard to shoot?
To shoot still life?
Yeah. In what's your opinion? Because it's different for everyone.
Still life, I personally see it as something completely different that I do. So these pictures have been done just me kind of playing around in my studio. No, it's not difficult, but you're faced with very different challenges. You know, I'm not a set stylist. I'm not a prop stylist. I don't know how to lay these things out. I kind of have to just do trial and error and lay them out and shoot them and see what works best. So that's kind of the biggest issue with still life that I've found.
Actually, that's Christian's question. How does the still life photography matches with your fashion photography?
Not to be mean about it, but it's definitely takes like the back seat. It's not my main thing, although it is something that I get quite a lot of work from now. It wasn't anything I ever wanted to get into either. It was I got booked for a job for a brand, and it was still life, and I was like, oh, I've never done that before, but they weren't put off by that. So I shot it, and once you shoot one thing like that, it kind of feeds on, and someone books you to do it something similar and similar and similar, and yeah, I ended up just going still life. And this kind of stuff I love doing because it's editorial in a way, and it's kind of showing off a different trend. This is like new makeup as opposed to like new clothes, and yeah,
I like that. Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
And Christian is also asking, are you using any CGI at all? And guys, by the way, we are coming to an end. So if you've got any questions, now is the time to ask.
Definitely no to CGI. I'm not intelligent enough to do that. There's some amazing photographers who do really clever still life stuff. I would never say I'm like a still life photographer. I'm very much fashion photographer, but I just do still life as well because I do really enjoy it, but it's very like simple compared to some people's stuff.
During this quarantine, I realized that I also enjoy it very much, and this was like a revelation to me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's kind of, to be honest, when I shot these, I was just in my studio on my own watching friends on my iPad, and you just experiment and try different things. And this picture, I honestly think I only had about 10 of these, and I got the shot, and I sent it to the editor of the magazine, and I was like, what do you think of this? And she was like, yeah, done. She was really happy with it. But the one that was before it, or after it, I shot on the same day. This took me so long. It's so long. I couldn't lay stuff out right, and shadows and everything, and yeah.
But you managed. It's looking
I managed.
awesome, so that's great. And do you do something like, is there something that you did not expect that you're going to need in a still life photography like this? Like something to wipe up the things, or just something unexpected for you? More lights?
To be honest, not with this one. I think
with still life stuff. With this particular one, you can just talk in general.
With this one. Oh yeah, that one dripped. The purple one would drip everywhere, and ruin a bit of colorama. But no, the main thing with still life that I was shocked by was having to buy so much in like props and stuff, which is stupid because obviously it doesn't come out of thin air. But yeah, you need a lot of stuff. So I kind of over time have gathered like a little collection of stuff I can use.
What are the things in your collection that you use most often?
If you go back to the pink picture, you can see I've got like that one. Yeah, I've got like a palm leaf that a lot of people like when you put that over the lights, you get like a palm effect. So it's meant to look a bit sunny. Yeah, I use that all the time. The poor thing, honestly, it's like bent where I've like attached it to lights and stuff.
Oh, that's a good thing. Like a crafty, nifty thing to know. As okay, we've got a question from the audience. As a portfolio, so do you think having book or iPad is needed now? Okay, I just shot with that question. I'm sorry, I did not related it to anything before. I'm sorry about that.
I used to have a print portfolio book, and I really loved it, but it became quite expensive printing out new stuff over time. So I actually haven't used that in ages. So if I go to a meeting now, I just take my iPad, just my mini iPad, which I don't actually know if, I think a lot of people use iPads now because you can just update them so quickly, and when you constantly have new work coming out, you can just chuck it on there. Whereas printing it's so expensive, and you just end up with such a backlog of pictures that you've taken out of your book. So for me, I use an iPad now, but maybe not forever. I don't know.
I have printed like a real book, but I realized that it's not very clever to have like a set book because you cannot exchange images, like never ever. And it was a very expensive one. So
they are so expensive.
Yeah, I do not regret that I have it. However, I don't think that I would do it again. There are lots of portfolio books that you can just buy on the internet, and you can exchange and have different just let me see that. Okay, you can have. I'm sorry. You can just switch the images, which is nice, but it's not very I don't think it's even very nice when we talk about nature. It's not very friendly. So with that, I decided to just go with like something like an ebook or something like that. But the truth is, I haven't been in an interview and a conversation with a client where I had to bring my portfolio in a very long time. Most of the time when you reach a certain level or you're talking to potential client, most of the time is through the internet. Or if you're on an actual meeting with them, you're there because they know your work and they know your portfolio. So in the past, it was very important to have like a print book or to bring your iPad. But with my experience right now, I don't think that you actually need something like that. However, I think it's a very important part of the whole conversation for you to know that for the different clients, you're going to need different images. Therefore, you should do different portfolios.
That's what I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I change it on the train there. I'll change it and put stuff in a folder.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would do like a PDF. I would sit down and do it and put an effort to it. But I wouldn't just send the same portfolio to different clients. I will do my research. I will see what this person is actually doing and what they might need from me. And because of that, I'm going to just go through my old projects and pick the images that might be useful for them and the images that they might need. But nowadays, I don't really send portfolios. I just shoot personal projects, post them on my social media, and people are calling because sometimes people just need to see something similar to what they want in your portfolio, whether it's going to be just Instagram or something like that, or your website, of course, and they're going to call you because they know that you can produce something similar to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you send portfolios?
Not a full portfolio. If I was pitching to someone, I would make them, well, not make them, but I'd make a little PDF that was kind of aimed towards them with things that I would think they would be looking for. And also I make it quite small because I don't want to overwhelm them with different images. If they're a jewelry brand, I'm not going to send them like random still life of like candles and stuff I've shot because they're only going to want to see jewelry. So I make it very specific. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How many images would you put in it?
I haven't made one in a while. No more than 15.
Yeah, same here.
More.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that was very, very useful, and it was full of new information. I think we helped a lot of people today. So I want to say big thank you to you for this.
That's okay.
And I'm sure that everybody else will also want to say a big thank you. So you can guys do that by leaving a comment. And there is a little bit of a delay. So it's going to take some time for the people to thank you. But I'm doing it with my full heart. Thank you so much, Saskia. It was wonderful.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, guys, so this was the end of today's episode. And all you have to do to understand who is going to be the next guest is to subscribe to the channel and just stick around. If you guys are not part of our list newsletter, like if you're not part of our newsletter, let me put it like that, you are probably missing out on some cool little tips and tricks. So what you can do is to go to photographypodcast.net, which is right over here, and there you can become part of our subscribers list, and you will be able to receive a little bit of info in advance to know who's going to be the next guest. And you will know everything about the Fashion Photography Podcast. So if you want to do that, you can go to photographypodcast.net. You can listen to all of our previous episodes. You can find out a little bit more about me and George, the producer of the podcast. And you can also donate in case you feel like we're really helping you with your business. And this donation can vary. There are options like $1 per month to different options out there. So you can decide what's going to work for you. And if you feel like so, you can just donate to the Fashion Photography Podcast. But if you are struggling right now, we completely understand. There is nothing mandatory. But if you feel like you want to help us, all you have to do is to just share this video or the video that you prefer on our channel. And with this, you're going to help us to reach more people, which is so amazing. Don't forget to, of course, like and comment under the actual video, because this is really helping us with these very odd algorithms. So thank you guys for that. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for commenting, because this is always making me so happy, because I know that I'm not alone and I'm not talking to myself. So thank you guys. And I cannot wait to see you again. Stay here in the channel to find out who's going to be the next guest.